Hi, Tim Sales here. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about what is network marketing. Very simple explanation. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by very simple explanation. I was interviewed in the Wall Street Journal. I was also interviewed in a Washington magazine, Washington, D.C. magazine. And what they write is really confusing. Okay, like even though I've been in the industry for 32 years and at that time not that long, but I remember reading it and I was trying to keep up with it and I'm like, what, huh? Um, and so it is for somebody who's been in it and made millions. Trust me, it's this simple. Okay, it really, really is. And the goal should always be that we're trying to reduce it to simplicity instead of make it more and more and more and more complex. All right. So this is what it is simply. I want to start with putting you or orientating you a little bit, because in order to look at business, what you first need to look at. So the last video that I did, it was talking about all my side hustles. And I really wish somebody had shown me this way back then, because it would have been able to put everything into perspective, because I just kind of thought of business ownership as one of those stores in the one of those strip malls or something like that, or maybe it was a restaurant or something. And so when we're talking about a product-based company, business that you might own, I want to show you kind of like the big categories. This is the way you look at it and evaluate it all. So over here, you have the raw resources, and that's going to be sand and concrete and soil and ore, like metals, oil, gold, diamonds, trees, animals, water. All of these things have to be pulled from earth, okay? And then they go to the manufacturer, and you're making glass, like cell phones. This glass that's on here, it comes from either a granite or it comes from sand or something like that. So you're going to move it over, and something's going to be made out of that. Bottles, jars, milk, cream, like from milk or from animals, lavender, herbs, veggies, vitamins, things like that. So that goes to manufacturing. So you could have a resources business. You're going to be dealing with tractors and bulldozers and backhoes and things like that. Right? And then from here, something gets made. And then over here, there is branding, which is legal work, the licensing, the packaging, the countries, and languages. All right? And then it's got to be stored somewhere. And that is where the warehousing is. And they pick up the product off a shelf. They charge you for that. And then they pack it. They charge you for that. And then they ship it. They charge you for that. Okay? And also the storage inside that warehouse, the space that you occupy. And then it goes to be sold. This is customer acquisition. And this is where I play the game. And I'll tell you why in just a second. The other side of this is the customer service, not necessarily serving the customer, but it is returns, complaints, restocking, shipping, multi-country. Okay, so that's kind of the big layout. And so when you're looking at wanting to own your own business, you kind of step back and you say, okay, so where do I want to play the game? And I, in particular, chose this one because of what I said in the last video, where that professor made a statement and he said you either have to own it or sell it. And I couldn't view myself owning a business. I felt as though that was for somebody a lot smarter than me. And so I just wanted to acquire customers. Okay. Didn't know a thing about it, but I still wanted to do that as opposed to own it. All right. So what do you do here? Well, you acquire customers and you service the customers. It is the highest margins and it is the most security. All right. So the person closest to the customer is the person who makes the most margin. Okay, so you can think Walmart, right? They get the most margins compared to these other categories, or pretty much any of them. So I want the highest margins and I want the most security. I want you to think about something for a minute. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the CEO or, the president, or the CFO. the CFO or Chief Operations Officer or something like that. They put a lot of emphasis on this person. But every bonus, every dividend that's paid out into a stock, every employee relies utterly on the sales acquisition team. Okay, so if you want security, it's not go work for a big company. It's know how to get customers, because there will never, ever be a business that doesn't need to get customers. You get the idea of that. So that is where you start really thinking this concept through, where do I want to play the game? And if I'm in this business, then I'm reliant upon the people getting customers and these people digging the stuff out of the ground, right? So I've got to I'm relying on these things, where here I'm closest to the customer. That is where you have utter security, because at the end of the day, that is who gives you $1. All right, it's the customer who gives the company $1 that ends up going and being split up into the various different employees of the company. Okay, and so what I choose to do is I don't want to do all of this and I don't want to do this, so I'm going to get a partner for all of this so that I can just focus on this little part right there, acquiring customers. Okay, so here is the simplicity of what a network marketing company is all about. It is a partnership, period. That's the first thing you have to just look at and say, yeah, wow, it really is. You sign a partnership agreement. You choose, okay? You're choosing this. You're choosing a company based on products, compensation that they offer, their policies, their procedures of doing business, the culture, the training, countries that they're opened in and opening in, life cycle of the products, life cycle of the company, etc. Okay, that's what you're choosing. And you need to evaluate all of those. Most people that I've witnessed, they come in and they, like maybe somebody exposed them to the business and they kind of look at the product and they go, you know what? I think I could sell that. And that's the limitation that's the limited amount of evaluation that went on, and it was no different than me. That's the way that I first came in. It was, I had no idea. I just wanted to go to settlement on a house that I'd put out bids for. And so I just said, yeah, sure. Why not? I just happened to get lucky. Okay. So number 2, company provides raw materials, manufacturing, branding, warehousing, shipping, returns, and countries to do business in. All right, so that's their job. You choose the company based on this. Well, now what's your part of the partnership? You acquire customers, you own your customers. It's a big deal when you look out there and you see affiliate marketing, you see Amazon sellers, you see real estate, you see insurance sales, you see all these different businesses, but you don't own the customer. You are acquiring a customer for somebody else. You acquire reps if available. Okay, so inside of the direct sales industry, it's an old industry, like 1897 or something like that. Inside of direct sales, there is a part that's called network marketing. And it means that you're able to get your own reps and train them, and this is what they get. That's it. You earn the upside of what you and your team build. Okay, so the comparables are real estate, mortgage, brokers, insurance agent, affiliate marketers, and Amazon sellers. That would be most comparable in terms of the daily activities. It would be most like Amazon sellers and real estate brokers. Okay, so that is it in simplicity. Well, what would you be doing? Right? Remember over here I said that you acquire customers, you own the customers. You acquire reps. Okay, so what's this business of acquiring? How does that happen? Okay. So first of all, I'll just tell you that a lot of people, when they first look at the idea of sales, There's a lot of different things that go through. And I know what I had to go through, like drive through, was a lot of noise in my head. It was every time I asked a girl to dance and she said no. Going all the way back to Sadie Hawkins' dance, okay? It was a long time ago. And so, it's a lot of noise that's in the head about it. And there are times where you have been manipulated to buy something and you don't want to be like that. All right, so I had a lot of that in my head. I bought a Kirby vacuum cleaner, like $150 vacuum cleaner at my Navy salary. Okay, what in the world was I doing? So I had a lot of noise in my head about this. And the biggest thing that I can share with you is that there's this phrase out there, born salespeople, born salesman, born sales lady. Okay, just logically, I want you to just pretend that you go to a maternity ward and you're walking through there. Maybe you're visiting a friend. Maybe it's, you're the dad or you're the mom. And you're looking at the babies behind that window and you're trying to figure out which one of those is going to be the next great salesman. They're all screaming. They don't know English yet. Okay, so how can it be born? Right? It's something that you learn. And when I show you here, it should simplify everything. Okay, so when I was in the Navy, the last thing in the world, there could have been 1 billion jobs and I'd have taken them, but sales would not have been one of them. I wouldn't have never chosen that. There was just one moment in time when I wanted to earn money and I was looking for where I could earn the most money without having to go through the long route, which would have been maybe a bachelor's degree, maybe a master's degree, and then climbing the ladder, all of that. I wanted to do it a little bit quicker. And so I remember there was somebody who I heard, and he was making over $80,000 a month. He was a research chemist at NIH, but he was in a network marketing company. And I remember sitting in the audience, I know exactly where I was sitting. And I was like listening to him and I was like, wow, that's amazing that he, with all of those credentials, decides to come into network marketing. And then I calculated in my head, what does $80,000 equal on an annual basis? And I was like, wow, $1 million a year? Why would I learn any more bombs? That's what I was doing in the bomb squad at that time, because I was defusing bombs and we would have to get bombs and figure out how to defuse them and stuff like that. I go, why would I be learning that, making really low income, when if I could learn to do sales, then, man, I got to do that. Okay, so let me show you real simple what sales really is. All right, now this is, you're listening to a bomb squad guy. Okay, so everything in our world is sequence. Okay, first you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. You don't ever switch sequence. Okay, so if you just follow along with me, you'll see something. Anytime you've been a customer, something happened just before that. What happened before that was a presentation of some kind. You walk into the store, you see the potato chips you want to buy, you buy them. Seeing that is a presentation. Okay? If you go to a doctor's office, the presentation was the doctor. All right? If you go to an attorney's office, the presentation was the attorney. If you went into Gap Jeans, well, they have a store and you walked into that store and you saw the jeans. In other words, there had to be some kind of presentation. Now, half the time that I've ever made a sell, I followed up with them. So in other words, those who see the presentation can become a customer immediately. And sometimes you need to follow up with them because they have questions. They need to talk to their spouse. They're not quite ready yet, whatever it is. Okay? So Never have I ever been a customer or had a customer that didn't see something first. Excuse me. Okay, just before that, there was an appointment. Might have been real quick. You might have just walked into Gap Jeans or whatever. But in a doctor's office, in a an attorney's office, sometimes in restaurants, you have to set an appointment. Okay, and before that, there had to be a contact with something like the presentation, the store, or a person. And before that, they had to generate them as a lead. And sometimes that's a little bit difficult for somebody to understand, but a lead is just really simply, when you look at it and think about it, a store in a mall paid premium real estate price so they get walk-by traffic. Same with a restaurant most often. And so that's how they generate leads. Everybody in every business is going to have to do this. They may not have to set an appointment online. You click on an ad on Facebook and it takes you straight to the presentation, right? They put a follow-up series on where they're retargeting you as you go across the internet, right? That's your follow-up. In other words, there's no business that I can't show you exactly how they're doing it. Okay, so now, in every business, every politician, every nonprofit, every school, every organization to expand has to do this. This is not an option, all right? These are laws, okay? It's not an opinion. This is how any customer is acquired. Okay, so when you think, and when you go through this, I wanna show you an example, okay? And I'm gonna tell you about how I feel about any kind of manipulation of this person doesn't want to buy, but I'm going to try to force him to buy. Okay? That is what Tim never does. Never. Okay? Because that's the icky feeling that you're going to assume is when you push too hard. All right? So, and I'll give you an example why from a very unlikely situation. Okay, so I had this vision, this dream of like the perfect girl. Right? It started in first grade in school. And that's where I kind of got this idea. And I just knew she existed, but somehow I kept messing it up. Right? Choosing the wrong one, or I was the wrong one for her, or whatever. And I remember I really fell for this one girl. And then she broke up with me. And it tore me up. All my buddies, I was in the Navy at the time, all my buddies are like, dude, man, you need to get a life. Come on, come out with us. And I'm like, no, right? It really bummed me out. All right. So then I remember this one point where it was like, I don't even know if I can try. You know, when you failed so many times at something and you're like, I don't even want to look at that. I don't want to do that. You know, that kind of a feeling. But it was like, I got to look at something different because I don't want to keep creating that same situation. And so then I had this epiphany, and it was this. I knew what color hair, I knew what color eyes, I knew what color fingernail polish she would wear. I knew everything about this dream. Okay? But you know what I didn't ever put on the list? That she would want me as much as I wanted her. That's what was missing. You see what I'm saying? In other words, that has to be at the top of the list, and you don't commit until you know that. All right. So that's the way that I build. This is my wife. Okay. So when I met her, we had a friend in common, and she brought her over to my house. Okay. It was like a business kind of a thing. And so, long story, very short, I contacted her again, and I asked her to go out to dinner. I was the presentation, and she was the presentation. Okay? And so, it went well. I followed up. I contacted her again. I set an appointment, movie and dinner. I followed up. And I just kept going back and forth for 3 years. All right, until I absolutely knew that she wanted it as much as I did. And if there's one very unprofessional thing that I see in the network marketing space, and that is that they don't have that epiphany that I had, which is, no. If I generate a lead and the person doesn't answer my call, done. If you're going to lose fast, right? Like over. I'm good with that because I didn't want to create additional failures. You see what I'm saying? In other words, it all goes back to they weren't Laura. All right. So I set an appointment and the person doesn't show up for the presentation. Awesome. I now know where that is. And so that lead gets moved over into that column over here called not interested. Just like that. Okay. If they see the presentation and they say they'll think about it, I follow up. If they see the presentation and they say, no, thank you, or they don't even respond back if it's a video or something like that, okay, good. I'm going to follow up just in case they didn't watch it or something like that. I'll follow up. And after 7 times, I don't do any more. Okay. So in other words, if I communicate with them and they don't reply, okay, maybe they're on vacation or something. So I'll do that. But then it moves over into the not interested. Okay. So that's kind of like the big thing that allows me to be very professional, because my job is not to convince every lead. My job is to, like this right here is a card. I don't know if you can kind of see this, but I've got an electronic board and I just move that lead to contact, that contact to appointment, that appointment to presentation, or to contact to not interested. So I just move leads across the pipeline in a very professional way, and I'm looking for the person who wants it as much as I do. Because if I sponsor somebody who doesn't want it, then I'm going to have to tug and drag them. And I don't want that kind of business partner. And that's what I'm looking for, is a business partner. I'm going to explain this to them when we do the presentation. I'm going to explain this to them, and I'm going to say, you know what this is, okay? Like when over here in network, excuse me, over here in the what is network marketing, where it is you acquire customers. So I'm not going to tell them it's not sales. There's no business in the world that doesn't require sales, okay? So unless you want to be, an assistant or a secretary, or you want to build something, but in the sales division, this is what we do, is the pipeline. Okay. So quantity matters. I know these arrows are pointing this way. It was because I was describing this concept of I've never, ever gotten a customer that I didn't do this first and then this and then this. But the leads move this way across the pipeline. So quantity matters most. Quality will increase your conversions between here and here, here and here, here and here, here and here, and here. All right, so it's the quality that you do that increases conversion. But you cannot get quality at it unless you do a high enough quantity. All right, that's really the secret. So, and then last, it's there are no born salespeople. All right, there aren't. Don't believe that. You're looking instead for somebody who is going to want it as much as you, and you're only looking for that. What do you think? Comment down below and let me know. I appreciate you watching this video.